You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Tyler Massoth.
What's up, man?
So, Tyler, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally?
All right, I'm a 26-year-old dude coming out of Southwest Michigan, and I blow glass for a living, self-employed. I've been doing that for almost a decade now. It's one of my passions for sure.
Now, do you get upset when people say, like, when you go and say blow glass and you're kind of you're in your 20s, so that kind of lets people know, like, what are you just blowing nothing but smoking pipes, you hippie?
Yeah, it has been that way for a long time, I'm not gonna lie. And I definitely don't just make pipes, and I do get that a lot too, but lately Michigan had turned legal for marijuana. In fact, we just started the sales recreationally at the beginning of this month, and I've been making a shitload more pipes lately.
Well, I mean, you got a market for it now. I mean, if it's legal, that means people are going to need to buy pipes from somebody. You might as well start, getting onto it. A lot of people do not blow glass. I mean, for someone like me that has no idea the whole ins and outs of it, how did you start blowing glass?
Okay, so both my parents were glass artists when I was a kid, and I had a second brother come around, other brother come around a couple years after myself, and they got really busy after that, and they kind of slowed down on the glass arts, but my dad really still loved it and wanted to do stuff, and instead of going and do big work like him and my mother would do, he took it back to the shop, or I'm sorry, not the shop, but his house, and just brought a torch home and started making Christmas ornaments at home. And when I was like 6 or something, I remember coming in there and being like, "What the fuck are you doing, Pops? Like, show me what's up." And he threw a pair of glasses on me and sat me down on his lap. And like from that day forward, man, it's been a never-ending love for the glass. And like, I don't know, man. I went to college for culinary arts and realized that's not what the fuck I wanted to do 2 years into that. And as soon as I got done with that college program, I said, "Fuck this, I'm going back home." And I went back towards my hometown and started blowing glass again. And I mean, it's been a great run ever since, man. I've been loving it.
It seems like what we kind of like get involved with when we're kids, like whether it's like a family thing or something, and then we branch off and try and do our own, we usually end up falling back into the original thing we were kind of imprinted with a little bit.
It's a fair point, I guess. Yeah, I guess something to do with your upbringing. Something you're comfortable with. You're turning back to the comfort zone.
I think it's crazy because like most people are like, I got to play like my dad. He would come home, we played at pigskin. You're like, no, your dad's like, fuck it, we're blowing glass.
That's right. I remember waking him up when I was like 14 and shit, man. Like 12, I can't remember. I was young, but he'd have to drive me to school that day. I wake him up at like 2:33 in the morning and be like, "Old man, come on. I've already got the coffee brewed. We're going to go melt some shit before class." It was great.
Okay, so when it comes to like the process of kind of like blowing glass, like how, like take me through your steps, like everything, like from just learning, do you have to learn the basics of how to use the torch, obviously, but like when it comes down to like, it seems like it's a very sensitive thing. I mean, glass in general, it feels like anytime, I look into a mirror or something, the glass breaks. So it's like,
Nice.
how difficult is it for you, like just trying to learn the steps in a way, like you got to be in a routine now, you've done it for so long.
Oh, definitely in a routine. And there's still learning involved, but at the beginning of it, man, it was obviously safety first. That was the first thing I was taught. Where's your fucking glasses? I'd hear once in a while, like, put your shit on, let's go. But after that, yeah, I guess it was more about learning how the glass just moved, and like when it became viscous and stuff, under what temperature, and like you could tell that by eye. I don't know. It's definitely a learning process, but it's great, man. It's greatness.
Now, when it comes to the creativity aspect of things, like besides, like, how do you make a pipe in a way? Like, if you're going to make like a bubbler, if you're going to make a bowl, which ones do you try and stick to the most? It seems like the bowl would probably be the easiest just because it seems like there's not a whole lot of extra fancy stuff done into it. When you look at like a bubbler, you got the neck and everything that comes down with it. You got to have a place where water can go in and none of it can leak out.
For sure. So, like, when I first start my pieces, and like, yes, you are correct there. It is a little bit more complex to make like a bubbler. When I first start my pieces, I generically, like, or lately, I don't even go through the whole process of planning anymore. I'll say, okay, I want to make something in this color, and then I'll make like a tube of that color, and from there I'll let either like the shape or the length of the tube or the piece I'm working with kind of lets me tells me what I'm gonna make next. I let it kind of inspire me as I go. As like hippie as fuck as that sounds, but I mean that's the reality of what it is. And but yeah, so I really enjoy making they call them hammer pipes, and it's basically like making a bubbler without a downstem. And it's just because they're complex, it's something that I can really lose my whole day working on and not feel like I'm, you know, busting 8 hours at a work table. And I can come out of there and it's usually beautiful. And, you know, my clientele base, they love the fuck out of them. And I don't know, my favorite thing to do lately with glass, well, actually my whole thing has been color changing pipes. That's something that's always speak to me.
Is that a different type of material that you use in glass blowing to make it change colors, or is it just kind of, I know like, because I've seen glass blowing, I think done once, and it was really, really kind of awkward for me because I'm like the first, like I'm ADHD all over the place. So I'm like, I want to grab everything. I want to like, just kind of, everything's a toy practically in my mind. It's not a good way to live, but I'm lucky I've made it this far.
Right,
But
all the digits are intact.
yeah, I'm missing a couple fingers. But when it comes to walking into a glass studio, like you start to notice one thing, and that's it. Everything is basically on fucking fire. Like everything's either like cherry red. There's a lot of hot objects around. It kind of seems like you're in a boiler room, and it's very intimidating, especially like when you just want to like, oh, it turned red. I wonder what that feels like. Next thing you know, you're burning your fingers off.
Yeah, man. I went through a whole lot of that. I've got like a whole set of rules that I have just for myself alone when it comes to working in the shop. Because, like you said, everything's hot. Like if you think about it that way, it's a really good way to approach everything in a glass shop, even if you can't see the heat. Because, like glass, unlike metal, I guess metal too, even when it's hot enough to burn you, it won't be glowing. But glass it'll stop glowing at like 1,000 degrees. And so I mean, you can imagine grabbing a hold of 1,000 degrees like you're trying to hold on to it. It's not going to do you good. So having the idea of everything's on fire is pretty damn good approach, man.
So, like, take me through kind of your process. Like, how do you start off blowing a glass pipe? Like, what materials are you using?
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't touch on that earlier. So when you asked about the fuming and like the color changing, I guess, yeah, you asked about the color changing, if it's a different material. All glass color generates from different metals and minerals and such. And when I say fuming and the color changing pipes, I'm using just the mineral gold and precious metal gold and just precious metal silver to get my colors. And I'll evaporate those two chemicals there, and I'll catch them and mix them inside this glass tube to get my colors. And so each time I do it, man, it's completely different.
I see. It's crazy because the one experience I had where I actually got to go to a glass studio and see it be done in front of me, it was with a guy. His name was Gumby at the time. So they
Nice.
called him, and he was making these pipes and things, but it was so difficult. He kept trying to hand me the torch, and he was like, just try it. Just try it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I barely get trusted with safety scissors, and you're taking me down. Like, you're skipping steps 5 all the way to like 300 here.
Right.
And, it's a really like interesting art form that lets you truly express yourself too. Like I start to notice like when a lot of people I know making pendants, like these little pendants you hang around your neck, are pretty popular.
Yep.
They're never simple. They're never something where it's like like it's a horse or something. It's always like this marble with like a bunch of like weird alien like looking features onto it, and it looks like it goes all over the place. And I think that's amazing.
Hell yeah, man. That's one thing that's awesome about glass is it can go all over the place in any place. Like if you can dream it, man, it can be done. I've seen some people make it like chandeliers that are just amazing. I'll send you some links here later today or something. That's some crazy stuff, but just amazing.
What types of tools are you using? I know you probably use like a furnace and obviously like a blowpipe, but what else do you use?
So like probably the glass blowing you saw is a little bit different than what I do. They recall mine lamp working, and the biggest, I do have a source of heat, like a kiln is what I have for mine. It's not necessarily like like a forge kind of, like it doesn't melt the glass for me. It just holds the glass at a certain temperature and
Yeah,
lowers
I used to kill them in school. I think we made clay
Sure.
pots or something, and I made the one pot out of the whole entire class that had a hole in it. So my mom was like, "What are we supposed to do with this?" So I'm like, "I don't know. Just put shit in it."
It's a planter.
Yeah.
Right. But I use a torch mostly for most of my everything I do for getting everything melted. I have a torch that stands right in front of me, and a lot of the tools I use are made from glass, and like my blowpipes that I use are all made out of glass. And if I were to be touching the glass, I guess some tweezers I use once in a while, but the big tools that I use that aren't made of glass it's carbon graphite molds. So like it's basically the same stuff you'd use to draw with out of your pencil, but a huge block of it or a huge sheet of it. And you use that to rub your glass on to make different, like whether it be a flat edge or with marbles, I use various sized holes drilled into a big block of carbon graphite, and I run the marble right on top of those edges of the holes there, and it makes a nice round shape. But yeah, the carbon graphite for sure, that's a nice little tool to have. Then the tweezers, and most of the stuff's made with glass.
Now, I know because when an artist creates something, such as like if you're going to do a painting and you start selling these types of things, it's very hard to make the exact same thing that you originally created. How difficult is it for you to replicate maybe the same thing doing glass pipes? It seems
Uh,
like it would be borderline impossible.
yeah, absolutely. Very difficult. I mean, especially when you do the art style that I do with combining the precious metals together to get your color. So basically, I'm taking if you can imagine trying to mix oil color on a palette, but when you push the oil color out of the tube there, it comes out clear, and you can't tell what color it's going to be until after you mix it with the other clear batch. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's damn near impossible for me to replicate. I made a pendant 8 or 9 years ago, and I wore it just till last year or the year before, and I was out swimming. I take it everywhere I go, and I was catching a buzz. I was drinking some booze with my buddies, yeah, and there's this big dock out there. It's like 16, 17 foot tall, and we were jumping off of it, or nobody had jumped off it yet. We were still sitting up there, and everybody was kind of being cooters, the the worst term to put it. But I was like, screw it, I'm going. So I just ran off there and jumped. In a lack of thought, I didn't even grab a hold of my pendant, but it went flying off my head, and now it's at the bottom of that lake. But I tried remaking it over the last year or two, and man, I have had just the absolute most frustrating time. And I tell you right now, there is no pendant around my neck because I can't replace it yet.
I think that's what happens with a lot of like we get our first and you really never care about it. I kind of can use the example like a superhero suit, like the very first one you ever make, I guess, in a superhero movie or something. There, it's like really shitty. It's like, oh my god, like that's not even a suit. It's probably the worst thing ever. And then once you get the new one, there's no feeling though like the original.
Right? Hell yeah.
It's like still, it's like, yeah, I might have a cape now and I might have expandable latex underwear, but when it comes down to the original thing, I felt like my ski mask was still a lot better.
Hey, the OG is the shit.
Now, when looking at all the colors, though, like how intimidating is it though? Like, because you get like from any glass artist point of view, I mean, you probably follow multiple glass artists just pages on Instagram or something, so you get to see everybody else's work too. Does that ever kind of get in your head to feel like you have to do better, or does it you just like kind of the way you do it too? Because I believe with every glass artist, it's much like every painter. You guys are all very, very unique.
Most definitely. I absolutely I guess, yeah, I get into my own head definitely by looking at other people's art, but mostly it's not necessarily the art. I guess, yeah, I love the art they're making, a lot of these people I follow, but the biggest thing I take from these people is their hustle, man. Like the way they self-promote, the way they use social media as their sales platform, or the way they use social media as their main advertisement platform. And like, or I'll just be taking notes on them, how they post every day. Like with your podcast, you make sure you post every single fucking day. And that consistency right there, man, that is like super key, especially when it comes to a hustle on social media, you know? So I try and take notes on that as often as I can from these high guys. And it
Yeah,
becomes intimidating.
trust me,
Definitely.
doing a podcast for me is a hell of a lot easier than blowing glass. I give you all the credit here, man, because I mean, just looking through all the pipes and things you've created, I mean, these are works of art, dude. I mean, first of all, like,
Thank
looks like like any Beatles album ever. Like, if you start thinking about Octopus's Garden and you just look
you.
at one of your pipes, you're like, that's the colors that would be in an octopus's garden for sure.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. And I also don't mean to like self-project my business on y'all here, but if you were interested in checking out the art we're talking about here too, over on Instagram, it's at Moose and Fire, MOOSEANDFIRE.
Yeah, I always give people a place to plug their stuff because I mean I'm a pro person here. I mean, this is awesome shit, dude. I'm looking at you got a dragon pendant, bro. And first of all, that does not look like it was easy to do. Like it might be small and a lot of people would be like, "What did that take you a couple of minutes?" No, 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 no. There's a hell of a lot of time that went into crafting out that piece. I mean, you got to think glass is so fragile in general. Like you have to make sure it's a certain heat before you can even grab tweezers to be able to pull it.
Yep, absolutely, man. And those dragon pendants you're talking about, that's like something way off my norm. You know, that's using color to in sculpting, which is like super way away from what I normally do. And so yeah, that was a challenge for me, man. That took a good day or two to make the pair of them. I think there's two that I released, but I'm working on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, out of all the things you've create though, like is that like are those the types of forms of sculptures and stuff? Is this stuff that you kind of want to drift into, or do you want to stick on to the basis of the original pipes? Like what's the one thing if I had to ask you that you like to make the most?
Uh, I think I'd end up sticking with the pipes and stuff, man. That's what I started with. Like that's where my business really came from, dude. I was like 12 or 13 at the time, and I was going around making pipes, and eventually I started selling them to like head shops before I could even legally buy them, man. So like that's my roots, I guess. And I think I even earlier in this interview here, man, I was telling you how I'd love to make a hammer pipe, and that still stays true. Like if I were to go into the shop today and I were to make anything, like just if I were to just make something for myself even or a friend, like it's gonna be the purpliest and greenest, just prettiest, hammer pipe with all crazy ass designs going in it.
Now,
And
what exactly is a hammer pipe?
so it's like if you can imagine like a spoon pipe, but like a normal. Uh, Imagine if you were to take your bubbler you're talking about, how you have to pull the neck and such, and you have that base. Take the neck off of it and put just a straight neck on there without a down stem. And so it's basically like a nice little clubby end that comes with a extended mouthpiece towards you. You know, there isn't really a curve to the mouthpiece at all. I'll send you another link, one of those here in a little bit too.
Do you think that it gets a little bit difficult trying to manage this as like a business as well, just because a lot of people seem like that they're interested in this kind of art? Like they're obviously either doing it probably to smoke something out of it, makes it kind of a little bit difficult to deal with some people like that.
Oh, absolutely, man. I have like, I'm not kidding you. I have like a list of generic wooks. I call them just different. Like, oh, I'll pay for that next Friday, like kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I get all sorts of just I deal with the people. You know, I'm the maker and the seller, so I get to deal with
Yeah, but
everybody.
if you're trying to survive off doing this as a business, like you can't just go off IOUs, man. I mean, I'm looking
Absolutely.
through a lot of your pictures too. There's a bunch of people like, I can't do it now, but I can get it to you later. Or how much is that? And like, can you bring it down this? I'm like, you're basically dealing in like a haggling market. I'm like, you're paying not only for a useful tool, depending on like what your interests are, but at the same time, you're creating, I mean, beautiful works of art. I mean, I can't give
Absolutely.
you credit enough for these things. I mean, I'm looking at things that look like marbles in a way too. It's like to see the
Yep.
design. Some of this, like immediately you look at it, like I'm a big pro art guy, especially what they kind of mean to you in a way, kind of bringing your own like either imprinting or things that have been evolved in your life when you look at something and be able to take anything from it. And like I'm looking at some of your stuff, and there's one that looks exactly like the coral reef inside of like a little glass ball. And I mean, that is some of the most amazing art. I can't even think of how you would begin to even start something like that.
Thank you, man. Those are the marbles I like making too. I guess so. I shouldn't be sitting here and say, "Oh, I just like making pipes." That's like a very close second favorite is making those marbles, man. So they're like 1.5 to 2 inch large, and they're just made to be set on your table as a display. And I love that too because there isn't, like you said, there isn't the functionality necessarily of it. I don't have to worry about, okay, is this flame going to be too close to this person's face or anything? It's just making arts for art's sake, and I love that.
Do you feel like a lot of the times it's just throwing a bunch of stuff together and just trying it out and see what works, and then it ends up creating something that's crazy like this? Or do you feel like a lot of times like you're sitting there like trying to get the narrowed down design? Because I feel like a lot of this looks like it was like crafted out perfectly, but I feel like a lot of it, probably some of your biggest mistakes are probably the most benefit.
Yeah, man. So on both of those subjects, I'll touch on both of those sides there, I guess. My dad used to call this, they call it happy accidents, is what my pops would say. So like you'd fuck up, you know.
Bob Ross, is your dad
Yeah,
Bob
but
Ross?
I know that's probably where he stole it from. But hey, I'll tell you what, it rings true, you know. So like I'll mess something up or whatever, and I'll go and be like, all right, fuck it, I'll finish it because it's still gonna have this price tag on it when it's done, whether I like it or not. And by the time it's done, man, it's one of the best pieces of 2017 or whatever the hell, and it's great. And then at the same time too, on the other side of it, I always try and aim, like if I'm going to be making, say, a marble, I generally try and refine a specific like technique. I might adjust it minorly, like I might change a color of something just so it doesn't look like this last one I made. But when I go to apply like the general techniques, they're like applying dots or something, I usually try and aim for the same pattern so that the next time I do it, my muscle memory is still right on point and I'm making it, as perfect as I possibly can.
Now, we talked about something that you said you want to make, but what's one thing that you've made where it felt like you couldn't let it go? Either something you still hold besides like that pendant, but something like a pipe or something that was most memorable to you, either based on the experience of you kind of creating it or just the overall ending product.
Man, that's a really good question. And I guess there's a few that stick out uh, real specifically, but I made one at the beginning of this year or the spring. My fiance and I, we do a lot of mushroom hunting, and I took off probably like 3 or 4 weeks between mushroom hunting and fishing for these steelhead that run in. They're big rainbow trout that come in from Lake Michigan. So they're only here a couple times a year, so you got to get them when you can. Took a couple, 3 weeks off work, right? So I was really rusty, and I came back into the shop, and I was rusty, yes, and I was also a little broke from not working for a fucking month. So I needed to make something that was gonna sell. So I was like, all right, like if I make a nice basic rig, this would work great. And so like a rig being like a little mini bong, if you will, lack of better terms. And my local market for that's pretty astounding. So I was gonna go make one of those, and I got it all done real nice, and it was like the last step, right? And I missed out, or I fucked up one of the most simple, basic steps, and because of that, this thing fell off the blow tube right in front of my kiln as I was going to put it in, like for the last step. Right, falls on the ground, breaks into a bunch of pieces, and I'm like, fuck it. I throw the blow tube down right on the ground with it, turn everything off, and leave the shop. And I come, like, I'm just pissed off, for the rest of the day and sleep on it. And I come back in that next morning. And in all honesty, I forgot that I had, broken it. I just left that day behind me. And I came into the shop, turned the lights on. I saw a pile of shit sitting in my floor. And it all came back to me. And I said, oh, man. And I definitely had a different approach that day. So I took and I heated every bit of those little pieces up, and I started polishing every single rough edge of those pieces. And
See, if you said something like that to like your parents or someone who's older, they'd be like, "Well, you just overreacted. Like, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, you have to really understand like the time that you invest in making these pieces of art too. Like, you make so many of these things, and they're very individual too. I mean, they mean something to you when you're making them. It's not something like you can just, it's like a factory. You can just pump out like 80 a day. These are something like usually one takes like the whole day, or at least a good chunk of your time, to where you still want to go home and relax or do something. And
absolutely,
when you break something like this, it makes it all the more frustrating. It's like when you get upset because you're trying to make something and you can't. So you end up taking a step back from it and then coming back to it later, and you find out the one problem you could never get past is all easier when you just take a step back, breathe for a minute, and then come right back to it.
brother. I couldn't agree more, man. And I try and do that with my life too. Like just generic situations I find myself in, where if I have the time to take a step back, and even if it's just a minute to breathe and reevaluate the situation and come back to it, I
You know,
like
where-
doing that.
you know where I learned that wonderful wisdom from?
Where would that be?
The Wii.
So, oh yeah.
When it was like, take a fucking break. You've been playing for like
Oh,
6 hours, and
nice.
you're like, I don't want to take a break. It's like, just take a break, dude. Just take a break.
Right. Come back in and crush it your next time.
Real, realize that game of ping pong or that bowling match, it's going to be there again. Just come back a little bit. I don't want you breaking your TV.
Right. So I came back into the shop that next day, and I took my break that the Wii told me to take. You know, I came back into the shop the next day though, and I polished all these pieces up, and I ended up making this beautiful rig, and I stuck every single one of these broken pieces on that rig, man. And so now it looks like this. Artistically for me, it's amazing. It's one of the few pieces I've named. I called it Lemonade, and with the aid part being spelled AID because I did first aid on this rig and rebuilt it into a whole other functional piece of art. And I made lemonade out of these lemons that I had, the day before.
Ah, it's got a meaningful story behind it.
Precisely, and
Dude,
it still sits on my bench now.
Do you make a bio for these pipes? You have to add that one in for that pipe. You have to have like a little script in front of it where it's like lemonade. I called it because it was a hell of a process making it up, and I basically made lemonade out of lemons.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, with that one I do. It's hardly ever that I name my pieces though. I feel like that's kind of a little conceited, I guess, if you will, or maybe not that, but like self-centered, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, damn, then I would be completely self-centered because I'd be naming these pipes all day. I mean, I would create something like, this is what I call what a squid would look like on DMT. And it's like a fucking pipe with like many arms and legs and shit.
You ever smoked DMT?
No, I have not. Have you?
Yep. Yeah, man. I started experimenting with that the last like year or two, man. And it's been revolutionary for me, I guess. And I'm not going to sit here and like preach like, oh, you go try this.
Oh, well, you got to tell me a little bit about it. I mean, first of all, I was going to ask what's up with the mushroom hunting. Like you just got bored doing glass or something. You had to go out into nature and pick mushrooms.
So, all right. The way my fiance and I live our lives, man, it's definitely different from the norm. But what we do is we'll go out and like our food source is at least in total 90% foraged, hunted, fished, or farmed, and 95% of that's all protein. Sorry, 95% of the protein we eat is all hunted. And so with those mushrooms, that's just getting like supplements throughout the year too. We still have dried morels from this last spring, that we're eating on. But so that's a hobby. Yes, that's like a pastime, but also how we survive and do what we like to do. It's not like we couldn't go to the store and buy our shit, but
aren't you afraid though, like picking a certain mushroom in a certain area or something might get like poisonous or something? I feel like the ones on the roads are not always the safest to pick up and eat. I see a homeless man do it, but I don't think he's living a fantastic life.
Yeah, dude. So like mushrooms are one of those. It's amazing how mushrooms can take in toxins, man. People use mushrooms to purify soils and like radiation even too. And so like, yes, you have to be very cautious of where you're picking your fungus from. So like I've seen people posting pictures on like Facebook of like all these morels growing right next to a stop sign, like 2 feet from the road. And I'm like, man, do not eat those. It's all pesticides that you're putting in your body. And they do pick them up. But yeah, man. So like I've yet to have bad mushrooms found locally. Like if you can identify them, and there's some like surefire ones here in my state that you can, without a doubt, as long as you are educated, you can figure out what it is. But there is definitely poisonous ones.
You gotta take me through the DMT trip here.
Okay, so
I had my cousin experienced this with all this stuff, and he took like Salvia and stuff, and he went deep into a podcast of how he lived this life of a carrot before he drank carrot juice, and it was like 45 minutes of him explaining his whole trip through as being the life of this carrot, like coming from the bird shit, landing into the soil, and then growing this carrot plant, and then literally getting the whole turned into juice process. And it was long and descriptive to the point I was like, you fucking live this life, so you gotta inform me here about this DMT trip.
Okay, so like I've never been that deep, but I've also never played around with like Salvia or anything like that. That was a little, I guess, before my awakening, because there was a lot of like high school time people were fucking with that for me. But so like I was just like, I don't know, I had gotten a couple grams of DMT through trades while I was touring some local festivals this last couple years, and it sat around for like ever. Like I just got a head stash of just different stuff that I enjoy, and so like it just sat in there for like a good couple months. And one day I was just like, man, I want to fuck with a little bit, and I ended up taking it out, and I didn't know shit about it, so I took a dab of it, which is like basically you just take a whole piece of that shit and put it on a hot nail and just inhale the whole thing, right? And I ended up getting like uncomfortably high that time, and I was like, nope, not for me or whatever, and took like another couple months away from it. And then the next time I put it on some herb that I grew, I threw some reggae music on, and I sat there and just took the littlest toke of it, man, and like was way different of a time, like way more comfortable, way more enjoyable. And then like slowly, I guess throughout my last couple years, I've been hitting more and more of it. And I've only had like a few really hardcore trips, man. One of the time, I guess that's probably what you're looking for to hear about. One of the times sitting on my porch, right, similar situation, just smoking out of a bowl, listening to some reggae music, and I keep taking hits. And here occasionally I'll be like, DMT is a really trippy drug, man. I guess they say it's like the same sort of hallucination that would
Well,
happen.
apparently it feels like you're breaking the veil. Like it feels like you're
Yeah.
slipping into like an alternate universe.
Yeah, so like, and I've seen like holes in the sky, gone through those holes for a second or whatever, you know, and seen these crazy colors and whatnot. But like this one time, man, I'm always interested in like enlightenment with using this compound. Is what I always approach any psychedelic drug that way. It's just with like trying to learn more about either the drug or like the user itself or like the mindset it puts you in. And for that to me is enlightening. And I was looking for enlightenment in this particular situation. And I was just sitting on my porch enjoying some, and then I ended up getting very high. And I looked off and I saw this like light beam, man. And in this light beam that was sitting on the ground, there was like a being. And I wasn't like allowed to physically look at the being's face, but it had like this white, long flowing dress on it. And inside the dress was like, it was a generic white light, like the whole thing was light, but the inside it were spirals of various colors and stuff, and with all those colors had made up the whole white light. And like, I don't know, dude, I just found myself seeing the most, like, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I found myself just smiling and just overjoyed because I like, it wasn't the enlightenment that I thought I would see, you know, it wasn't like what I thought I was gonna experience, but I saw the most beautiful thing in my life, and that was like enlightening in itself. And it's so hard to kind of explain. I don't know. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think when you do something like this, especially like if you're gonna make glass blowing or anything that's really, really creative, a lot of people do like acid and then try and paint and stuff. I think it unleashes a whole world for your creativity, first of all. I mean, probably seeing all those colors, did you have inspiration words after to kind of be able to create a little bit better glass work in a way, or maybe a new design?
absolutely, man. So there's actually a new technique I'm working on right now that has just shaken the industry, man. And I've been getting a lot of recognition from some of those heads that I be following and stuff on social media. But I've been calling it Fractal Tech, and I'll have to send you some photos of it, man. But it looks like a damn DMT trip. Like it literally looks like it. And it was shortly after that I had this trip that I had made this piece of it prep work, you know, and had learned how to do this. And since then, man, yeah, it's nice, man.
I feel like, I mean, it's so inspirational to you like hear at least like people talk about like especially making the art of like glass work and stuff, because a lot of people I feel like aren't really interested in this. They just want to buy the pipe. They don't really care about where it comes from. And I'm glad that someone out there like you is doing this type of stuff, dude. I mean, it's your work's amazing too. And like when I reached out to you, you were probably like, "What is this? Are you just trying to DM me and get a lower price on something?" And I was like, "No, let's do this. Let's talk about some of this work because it's a hobby that a lot of people don't know too much about."
You know, that's true fact, man. It isn't something that you know, your brother's brother did or something. You know what I mean? Like I get you. Not everybody does it for sure. And I appreciate your appreciation. And yeah, when you hit me up, man, I was definitely unsure as to what was going on. But then I took the time and you sent me a link to one of your podcasts, and I listened to that. And I'm not kidding you, dude. I've been hooked ever since, Robbie. I've probably listened to like 3 fucking episodes a day, 4 episodes a day. I'll be sitting there at work listening to them. I love it.
Oh, I appreciate that, man, a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when you DM'd me, you're like, "I can't talk right now. I'm in the middle of making beef jerky."
So it's actually venison jerky off of one
Oh, you
deer I
son of a
harvested.
bitch, man. Oh, I wish I had hunters that could make deer jerky right now, dude. That's the one jerky I've eaten where I'm like, can anybody, I will go out into the middle of a field and with my car and kill a deer if you just make jerky out of it. Like, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, man. We do everything. Like I chop the wood down, I split the wood, I cure the wood, I harvest the deer, I process the deer. I do it all, brother. And so like that's what makes it even better for us too. And it turned out great. We actually just finished drying it all this morning because like we smoked it over the last couple of days and then slowly dehydrate it. And I just had a bite for breakfast this morning, and man, it was good. It's really
Dude,
good.
you do a lot of shit, man. I mean, from making glass work to, going out and hunting for mushrooms or even making deer jerky. Like, I mean, and hunting and fishing too. Like, You're 100% what I would consider like a naturalist in a way. Like you don't really buy into the whole like going to the market. And I mean, obviously you have to buy simple stuff like
Yeah.
toilet paper and shit. But when it
No,
comes
we wipe our ass with lemon leaves, man. I'm just
when it
kidding.
when it comes when it comes out though to like the process though of actually being able to be more creative and have more freedoms, like kind of being your own producer in a way, I'm 100% for that, dude. I mean, because you're living like a lifestyle a lot of people would not live.
Thank you, man. And it's definitely a choice, and I'm lucky enough to be able to make that choice. And mostly that's because of my people that support me throughout my life, whether it be my family or friends or even my clientele base. Very thankful for that, man. And it's definitely the way my fiance and I we choose to live. It's we like it this way.
Have you ever thought about turning more from your own like personal like glass working just through like Instagram and kind of like that home business? Do you ever thought about turning it into more of a market, like opening up your own shop that sells glass pipes?
When I was a kid, that was like my OG dream. And I think maybe in like for like almost like a retirement program, so that I'm not going to be able to just fucking do nothing. I have to do something. So like that might be down the road, but as it stands right now, I am so thrilled and satisfied with just being able to go in and make the art that I love and not have to like worry about running numbers for somebody and like,
And be your own boss.
yeah, or I don't have to worry about being someone else's boss too. That's the big thing. Like I have very little outside responsibility of what I don't put, that I don't put on myself. You know what I mean?
I feel like, yeah, once you start having somebody over your head giving you a list of things to do and things to work by and deadlines to meet, it starts to kill the hobby or passion in a way too. It feels like you don't have any mobility just to sit down, turn on the torch, and be able to go to work.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's probably, like I said, in the end, when I'm getting older and I decide I want to do something different or whatever, I mean, obviously still want to do glass, but I might open up a shop and just maintain it and not necessarily even sell my own work out of it, but have a space for other artists to come in, give them the torch space, and then buy their products from them, or however that ends up working out and selling it in a space. That'd be pretty cool, I think.
Have you ever thought about taking anybody like to study under you? Maybe trying to learn the art as well too, like expand it out a little bit. It seems like when it comes to glasswork, there's always like one in like a certain part of your town or something, or maybe there's a guy that does it, but there are not really that many people working on something like this.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've had dozens of folks hit me up, even just the last couple of years, asking for apprenticeships and stuff. And right now, I'm not in a position to do that either. Like I was saying, I don't like the idea of being responsible for someone else. Like I don't like the idea of having to show up to work for them to come work. But at, in the future, that might happen. I don't know. It'd be nice to pass it down, but I think if I were to be doing that, I want to pass down the information to like family or something, because
Yeah, like a son in a way, be able to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
do the same thing your dad did for you. Kind of, hey, sit on my knee. We're gonna make some fucking glass.
Exactly, man. I do classes and stuff. I have last year I had some people come in from all over the country, man, right here to Michigan for fuming classes. Just the idea of mixing the two gold and silver together to get color. And so I kind of like keeping that there too, because there's a nice market there for teaching up and coming glass artists. And I guess, sorry, go ahead.
Do you try and go to any seminars or anything to learn a little bit more? I know they have like when I wanted to go learn how to make glass or something after kind of being shown that first time in that sketchy room by that guy how to make glass. I the closest one to me was in DC. It was a convention that was going on. I was like, it shows how it's not that common. Like you can't just go find something in your town where some dude's teaching a seminar on it.
For sure. So there's this like I hardly ever go to any of those, but there's one in Detroit. So it's the other side of the state for me that I travel to every single year. And I'm lucky enough to be able to be a part of that. And what this is, it's called the Michigan Glass Project. And it actually supports all the art programs in the public schools for the Detroit greater areas and the lesser areas too around it. Uh, through the sales of all these crazy pipes that these guys come up and make in this shop there. And it's a huge industrial complex, and there'll be like 30 or 40 torches just lined up, man, and crazy amount of artists, and awesome heads of the industry there making all these crazy pipes just for donation to help support the Michigan art programs here and for elementary schools and stuff. And that right there is like the one major seminar that I get to go to, and it's not necessarily them like the heads teaching or anything. It's more or less just like, man, I get to go there and watch their techniques and see how they popped that tube or like put this down stem in or whatever, and just being able to watch someone do something different that's done it 10,000 times and has, you know, experienced all this different trial and error already, and to see their processes is revolutionary.
I think a lot of the times when it comes to art, you hear a lot of people throw degrees out and throw these types of things. Like, I've been making glass for over 85 years and I have three, whatever, and I've sold some of the best pipes to some of the most famous places. And I'm just like, I can tell you right now that I know some independent people, people that are self-taught, either from their home life, like some of your art exactly, that is better than some of the stuff that I see that is framed up in a lot of works. And I'm like, that's what makes an artist. I think it's the true passion behind it too. Like, if you just get behind the torch or something and you're like, oh, I got to create this piece or whatever, and you're not really giving a shit, really not putting in the passion and drive, and especially the extensive detail that you have to put in some of your artwork, like, you lose kind of the love for it. I mean, when someone like you probably get DM'd sometimes to make special pipes or make special pieces of art for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And like when you're crafting out and doing something like that, like, you have to take your time too. You can't just rush it because it might be something you don't want to create. You have to be like, this person literally asked from me. So you have to make sure that when you realize as an artist that your art reflects who you are,
Exactly.
even though some of your shit looks like it's going through a DMT trip or something, but you still have to reflect to people like, this is my work. It doesn't matter if I'm 100% for what you're asking me to make, but I'm going to do my best and give you the best product that I feel like I can manufacture.
Absolutely. If my name's going on, it is going to be exactly that.
Now, what types of things have people DM'd you about to maybe create in a way that you found is interesting or you had fun kind of making?
Oh man, so one of my favorite things to do, and a lot of people, they consider it like grotesque, but, and I'll get that, it'll be the initial message I get too, like, oh, I'm sorry if this seems grotesque, but they'll ask me to work with, like, whether it be family members' ashes or like pets' ashes, and that to me is just like such an honor and so special to be able to, like, it's just a fucking honor, man. And that right there, it's lovely. You know, I love being able to make that memory, that lasting memory with them, and like, I don't know.
Are we talking about fusing it with like inside of a pendant or fusing it
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
of like a pipe?
So yeah, I've made crazy pipes with like dog's ashes that were like this one girl's best friend, man, and she's like, oh, I love this dog to death, and she happens to be a pretty heady chick herself, and she's like, oh, I want a rig made with his ashes. This dog's named Gus specifically in this situation here, and so Gus got to hang out in my shop with me for like a good month, and we I built a bunch of like attachments and stuff using Gus's ashes and attached it to this rig and sent it her way, and it's like, it's something that she doesn't even use it, man. She just sets on her shelf as like a memory. You know, that's such an honor to me. I just love that.
I could see the kind of the thought behind it. Like, if you lose like maybe a sibling or something, and he maybe introduced you to smoking, and then you're like, I'm gonna put him in a pipe, so every time I smoke, I'm still smoking with you. I get that, but then I feel like how freaky it would be to be like, hold on a second, I'm smoking technically
Yeah.
like my sibling's ashes.
Yep. So yeah, definitely. That's where I think a lot of people are like kind of like weirded out by it, man. But for me, it doesn't even bother me. Even like, I don't know.
Well, like you said,
I
it's an
love it.
honor because they're
Yeah.
asking you to literally take care of their passed away loved one's ashes,
Yeah.
like
That's something
somebody that
human.
meant something in their life. And like that, I mean, I could see the honor behind that. It's definitely got to be a weird question to ask because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't want to deal with that. But like, how difficult is that for you as like to have that in your headset, like trying to be able to put it into a pipe or put it into a pendant? Like, you got to be careful as shit. I would be so afraid that would mess up and like next. I have a big thing when it comes to cremation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not a fan of it. I'm pretty sure if I die, I don't want to be cremated because I'm like, the Egyptians talked about your body lasting into the afterlife. So, like, is your ghost your body still on Earth? So, as your body on Earth decomposes, then your ghost decomposes. So, I'm like, imagine if you got cremated, then I'm going to be a spirit that's a pile of fucking ash and I don't get to do anything that I want to do.
Dude, interesting thought. I have never thought about it that way in my life, brother. That's cool. That's sweet.
I've also gotten too baked to the point where I start freaking out
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Hey
So,
man, I get it. Shit, no, I just love the like, even when we talk about stuff like afterlife, like that, dude. I love the different thought processes on it, and like how, like, where they come from, what their afterlife is, you know, and like, I don't know. It's such a trip. It's great.
what do you think of though when it comes to the afterlife though? Because I've had people that range all the way from priests, rabbis, to people that have lost their religion, to people that are all everything under the sun when it comes to the amount of people I've talked to when it comes to religion. But I've always brought up this one point. I don't know what's out there. I've honestly seen Morgan Freeman in more things that involve God than I've seen God himself. Uh,
Right.
I'm an ordained minister under the Church of Bacon, so I mean that took me like an hour and a half at my Maryland courthouse. I always throw that title out there.
Hell
But
yeah.
when it comes to what happens in the afterlife, I feel like we're all getting a piece of the big picture. It feels like everybody's got a puzzle piece and it all comes together in this one definitive way. Because when we look at doing good things, you go to a good place, and doing bad things takes you to a bad place. It seems like every religion hits that center core morality thing.
For sure, man. I think that's definitely a good guide to live by. You know, it keeps people in line. I don't think anything happens when I die. I think I'm gonna go through like extra, like to just a really, like I said, DMT trip. Basically, that's what they say. Like the endorphins that flow are similar to that. I think I'm gonna get really fucking high, and I'm just not gonna wake up. You know, like it. And it's like as weird as it sounds. And I'm saying just just dying of natural causes maybe, or like it just I don't think anything happens after the end, man. And it's just me, I guess. But
I've heard so many people be so convinced about like this is what happens when we die. This is what happens. Oh, that doesn't happen. This is what happens. I'm like, how do you know if you never it truly like I've talked to people that have been shot in the head, shot in the heart, people that have been like, I knew a dude that had died 3 times to the point like when I first started my job, he told me he died 3 times. One was he got shot in the war and he actually basically went unconscious for a little
yeah,
while
yeah.
and they had to revive him. And then he was a 9/11 first responder and actually died, and then they brought him back. And then like after he was telling me his third experience and everything, he was like, I see ghosts now. And his name was Bobby, and he was like, I'm just gonna go out into near the Grand Canyon and just camp. That's all I want to do. He had all his shit packed into his car. Nicest dude in the world, but after like 2 months of working at this hotel, he was gone. I never saw him again. So I'm hoping he's out there doing that. But it's crazy to hear everybody's experience when it comes to like the afterlife. Oh, I didn't see anything. Oh, I saw something. I'm like, there we never are going to know the true clear answer. Sadly to say that I don't think that there's any definitive answer. I feel like it's different per person. But I mean, hey, if I die and I get to Heaven's Gate and God's there and he's like, hey man, I'm real. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you. I'm glad
Right.
to know that you're out there.
Yeah, man. Exactly. Having that closure would be sweet too, man. I definitely, and like you were saying earlier, just the morality of like having religion. It helps people steer into a good place, and like keeps people in line. That's a good thing, man. And, I'm definitely not like anti-religion by any means.
Now, when it comes to kind of focusing back onto a little bit of glasswork in a way, do you have any kind of like hopes or anything when it comes to this? Like, do you feel like I know we talk about like the hammer pipe and stuff, but do you have any like either maybe I don't want to say like one of like the worst experiences you've ever had? Because I feel like we've talked about a lot of inspirational stuff, but I was like, do you have any really bad experiences besides that pipe breaking where you feel like you didn't want to do it anymore?
I guess I mean I have those like little hiccups, man. Shit breaks. I would like a tantrum, throw shit on the floor, and be like, "Fuck this," and walk out. But the next day I wake up and I'm like, "Yeah, let's rock, man. Let's do it."
Well, I mean, that's how you know it's a true passion too, because I feel like a lot of times when something doesn't go right or doesn't go your way, a lot of people give up. And especially when you're doing something that is very, very difficult and also kind of, I would say, not a 100% perfected process of glass blowing because every single time you get in a different kind of product in a way,
Oh, most
you,
definitely.
you got to make sure that, you can't be deterred just from like a simple mistake or just an accident that happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If anything, I try and learn from those mistakes and accidents to better my next product and ease the way of making it, or however it might work better.
Now, if for any people that are out there maybe looking to get into the glass business or creating their own pieces, do you have any tips for anybody?
Dude. Yeah. First thing that everybody should start on, and big thing is because it's not anywhere near as expensive to go out and start making like pipes, but go to like Amazon or Hobby Lobby and buy a bead making kit. And it's just like a little map gas torch, man, and you put it right on table. That's how I started with my dad, and it's relatively inexpensive. You're looking at like $110 or something, and You don't need any fancy eyewear or any other fancy equipment. You just have to put glasses on. You're good to go, and making beautiful stuff to hang on your Christmas tree this year. So
Do you ever get like when it comes to the holidays, do you ever have like any ideas for maybe some holiday themed things?
yeah, once in a while. Last year I made you'll like this. I made Christmas ornaments. They're matching set. One was a pipe that you could pop off the little like wire Christmas ornament clip and use it, and then the other one was a nug jar that kept all your fancy little Christmas weeds up on the tree. And so that was
That's awesome.
right? Yeah, I thought so as well. But yeah, I didn't make anything really this year. I don't know. Been sluggish about it.
I feel like that's like also like the best gift you can give someone. Like if you give probably maybe not for your parents, not like not obviously a pipe used for smoking, but if you made anything out of glasswork, they would look at it and be like, yeah, we know we make glass too, man. Like it's
Right.
we get the process. But like I feel like that's a good gift for anybody. I mean, I remember I took HVAC class and we used welding torches. Like some people were making like bongs and shit out of copper piping and stuff. I was like, I'm gonna make a palm tree. I'm gonna make a spider, like stuff that would be like kind of consistent with the holidays and stuff. And they're some of the most memorable gifts my family has ever used.
Fuck yeah, man. I love that. That's sweet. I like that shit a lot too, man. I do a lot of glass gifting throughout the year. It's kind of cool. My mom hasn't blown glass in like probably 20 years or something, right? And just a couple days ago, she's like, "Hey, if for Christmas gift, can you take me out in the shop and let me make a pendant with you?" And I was like, "Oh man, like yes, come on, let's go set a
That's
date."
gotta be crazy.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
excited.
God. Having your parents like come to you and be like, hey, do you want to blow glass together? Like, especially as an adult now, like you might even remember it as a kid or something, but being able to do that, it's like a bonding experience. Like there are so many people out there that are never going to know what that's like.
Dude, I'm stoked. I'm really excited.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate you coming out and doing the podcast, Tyler. It's been amazing talking to you. I mean, I'm really jealous of your lifestyle. First of all, you have creative like inspiration, like the ability to use it. First of all, in your glasswork, and also I'm really fucking jealous the fact that you get deer jerky. I mean, if you
I'll
ever
send you a pack, man.
if you ever want, yeah, send me a pack, or if you ever want to put it into a pipe to where every time I
Yeah,
smoke,
there
it
you go.
comes to the point where I can taste beef jerky. That'd be awesome.
Righteous, brother. Thank you for having me out, man.
But I want to give you here a minute at the end to kind of promote your Instagram too, and where people can find your awesome works of art too, and kind of tell them like I guess a little bit about like if DMing you or anything that if they want to get maybe something made.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Just like I said earlier, at Moose and Fire, that's MOOSEANDFIRE over on Instagram. It's definitely the best place to get a hold of me there and to see my works. And yeah, if you need anything, man, just feel free to shoot me a message over there.
I'm
But I
gonna have to,
appreciate you, duders.
I'm gonna have to DM you to make me out of the blank pendant.
Dude, I'd be about that too, homie.
Well, thanks so much, Tyler, for being on this episode out of the blank, and stay tuned for our next episode.